How did you sustain your motivation?
Every time I couldn't clear prelims, I just...
How many years did you solve?
Yes, sir.
Studies, definitely it's going to take more than 1.5 hours. Hello students, today we have with us Priyansha Garg, who has secured rank 31. Priyansha is from Agra, UP. Her optional is public administration, and this is her 4th attempt. Tell us something about yourself, Priyansha.
Thank you for having me, sir, first of all. And this is my 4th attempt. I wrote my first mains in my very first attempt in 2019.
So you gave your first attempt in 2019.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's like 4 years ago. And then your second mains is happening in 2022. How did you sustain your motivation?
Sir, I think every time I couldn't clear prelims, I just went back to 2019 and focused on the areas where I couldn't perform well. The first was my optional paper 1, where I had a score of just 79. So that was my major weak point. Second was ethics, which I scored 109 in 2019, which was very low score.
That year the highest score was 160.
Yes, sir.
160 plus.
160 plus. So that year that score was very low. So every time I went back and did it all over again, made my notes, and that is how it went on.
So were you getting stuck in prelims because of GS or CSAT?
Sir, it was because of GS.
Because of GS only.
Yes,
what was the margin by which you were missing?
Sir, 1 mark, 1.5 mark. It was just one question here or there.
So how did you change your strategy to crack prelims after not cracking prelims twice?
Sir, I think I did certain things very differently this time. So first of all was solving previous year UPSC questions in a time-bound manner from 9 to 11 in the morning.
How many years did you solve?
I think I have done around 10 to 15 years of...
Were there questions repeated?
Yes, sir. In fact, 2019 question was repeated in 2020, and I got it right in 2019, but not in 2020. So that would have made the difference also. So that was the first thing. Second was that my current affairs sources became very elaborate because of not clearing prelims in 2021, which again became a setback.
So it was very bulky, you couldn't revise.
Yes, sir. So this time I went back to the very basics. Just do the basic sources, just do the basic current affairs, and
that worked.
That worked.
How was your attempts in prelims? How many questions were you attempting in these years?
Sir, this year I attempted a little more. So it was around 94 or 95 questions.
94 is a lot.
Yes, sir. In the 2 attempts that I couldn't clear, it was around 80. So
at 90, and you cleared with a margin this time in prelims?
Yes, sir. I cleared forest cutoff as well.
Forest cutoff as well.
Yes,
so
sir.
After not clearing prelims twice, you cleared with forest cutoff?
Yes, sir.
Right. So notes worked for you, and you practiced PYQs for prelims?
Yes, sir.
What about solving test questions and all? What was the strategy?
Sir, I used to solve test questions in a time-bound manner, but not taking too much to my heart. So if I'm not scoring that well, just analyzing it where it is going wrong. Previous year question was something I used to take to my heart, not the
test
general
questions.
questions. Yes, sir.
So once you write a test, do you go back to those tests, the questions which you got wrong?
Sir, I used to write the information that I feel I'll need then and there in a book, in my own book. So if a polity question goes wrong, I'll write it in 𝐿axmikant. If a history question goes wrong, I write it in Spectrum, and then I'll throw out the test, because otherwise revising those tests becomes very tedious, and generally I ended up not revising them at all.
Anyway, the questions won't repeat. It is the concepts that you have to have clarity on. Right? So from prelims to mains, and mains you have last written in 2019.
Yes, sir.
And then you have written in 2022. And I think you have made almost 150 marks or more improvement.
Yes, sir. It is around 70 marks in PubAd
and almost 75 marks in
75 in GS.
Yes. Essay is more or less consistent.
Yes,
I think this is Priyansha's score. So essay, I think more or less similar scores last year. GS has increased by almost 70 marks.
Yes, sir. Everywhere I've seen an improvement in GS.
That year you did not give interview.
No, sir.
Right. I think this 868 total is a very good score. It's a top 5 rank score.
Yes,
I think
sir.
Interview has not worked in your favor.
Yes, sir.
Right. But anyway, 31 is a very good rank.
Yes, sir. All's well that ends well.
Right. So, what was your strategy for essay?
Sir, for essay, I had brainstormed a lot of previous year recurring themes. So if women is there, then I had certain anecdotes prepared for women, certain quotes. So science, tech, religion, these were the recurring themes. And then I think one thing I did was I had a document prepared where I had quotes, anecdotes from real life.
And you put this in the essays?
Yes, sir. I wrote both my essays starting with anecdotes.
Anecdotes.
One was an example from India, one was
Which essays did you write this year?
So the first one was a ship is safe in the harbor, but is not
right.
meant
It's not
to
what
be.
ships are built for.
Yes, sir. And the second one was you should repair your roof. I think the essays that everyone
you
wrote.
should repair when the sun is shining.
Yes, sir. The essays that everyone wrote.
Essay papers have become different. More philosophical topics are coming in.
Yes, sir.
How do you deal with philosophical topics?
Sir, I think the same strategy that works for every topic, breaking it down in parts.
Keywords.
Yes, sir. Keywords. One thing I think I used to try and do is addressing the other side of the topic as well.
Not just
what is asked, but what if I don't do this?
Right.
Then what happens?
So if you don't repair the roof,
a negative connotation of it. Or
why
what if I do it more?
Or why ship should be in the harbor?
Yes, sir. Right. That is also something I think I always try to make it sure that if it's there, I can address it.
Okay, nice. So GS is something where you have improved 75 marks, and I think ethics has contributed the most in terms of your improvement in GS.
Yes, sir. Ethics and I think paper 1 as well.
Paper 1 as well. I think paper 2 also. In fact, paper 3, this is one of the highest scores.
Okay.
Right, because a lot of people have not crossed 80 marks in paper 3. Paper 3 has not performed a lot this year. Right. So how was your strategy for GS mains?
So for GS mains, again, I think keeping the syllabus in front of me primarily, and then writing previous year questions and third, completing the paper. That is very, very important. And I used to follow that same strategy while writing tests as well. Then fourthly, something that I did very different this time was make my own short notes. And that is what I revised multiple times. And I think I only wrote those notes in the final exam.
I keep telling people that, it's not your notes, it's what you write in your answers. So unless what is in your notes is in your answer, it doesn't matter.
So my notes were very, very crisp.
Crisp, right. I think you should share it with the student community now.
Sure, sir.
Right. And you have written tests. I think you have written tests with us.
Yes, sir.
You have done a lot of practice in answer writing.
Yes, sir. I wrote a lot of tests to pick up something from the market, try different sort of questions, and always doing it in 3 hours.
3 hours.
Always doing it
in a time-bound manner.
Yes, sir. That's very important.
Do you do anything after the paper is evaluated? Do you go back to it?
Yes, sir. I've always met with you.
Right. Yeah.
So
no, I was not talking about that. I was talking about, do you go back to the questions where you have gotten less marks?
Yes, sir. Whatever topics I know and I can't write, that is something that used to always trouble me. So going back to their model answers, because reading every model answer is not possible while preparing for mains in those 3 months. So keeping it short, reading only the model answers where I scored low or where I have doubts or my knowledge is lacking is something I used to do. And if there is especially in polity and governance, if there are examples in model answers or committee, so that is something I picked up.
And unlike in prelims and mains, a lot of questions and themes repeat.
Yes, sir. Right. From test you get the similar kind of questions. Right. So that really helps. Yes, sir.
Ethics, you have done a significant improvement.
Yes, sir.
And you were saying that you have added a lot of examples and a lot of real life case studies into your answers.
Yes, sir. So there were a lot of examples, not just from administration or governance. There were examples from different fields of life. So I'll pick up an example of a scientist also, or
diversifying.
Yes, sir. Diverse examples, not just writing Armstrong.
Because if you look at the general answers, it's Buddha, Gandhi, Ambedkar.
Yes, sir.
It's the same.
Not like that.
These are honorable people, but again, everybody's answers have the same set of examples.
No, right? Sir. So my example, I had a specific list for ethics. I prepared, I think, 10 pages of just examples. Just examples for every keyword in the syllabus.
And diverse examples.
Diverse examples. Right. Everything, whatever I used to come across, be it from the papers, the YouTube channels.
Other toppers copies.
That is a very, very diverse and very good source to go through.
Okay. And was it part A or part B which you wrote first? Did you write case studies first or part A first?
Sir, I wrote part A first.
I think this is common among people who have done well in ethics.
Sir, because I wrote my first mains in 2019, I remember there were 4 pages in, and that year I wrote my case studies first. And had I written case studies first this year, there were 5 pages, and I would have.
Now, when you write case studies, definitely it's going to take more than 1.5 hours.
Yes, sir.
And then you'll have to rush through the initial answers.
Exactly, and I think case study is a more or less mechanical process. You can still manage it in 1 hour, 1 hour, 25 minutes.
I have a different perspective on case studies that, you are assuming your response is the right response. That
yes,
may
sir.
not be the expectation
Yes,
what
sir,
the evaluator has.
something.
Like, someone can always read your response and feel that, you're too idealistic or you're too
Yes, sir, maybe.
practical or whatever, right? And quote-based questions also you worked.
Yes, sir. Quote-based questions, I had prepared certain templates of how to answer those questions. So I don't have to think in the exam.
Right.
So I would pick up keywords, I would pick up socio-economic, political aspects
Dimensions.
and just write that answer.
Optional, you have also significantly improved. You have
Yes,
got
sir.
one of the highest marks in public administration.
Yes, sir.
How was your approach this year?
Sir, again with optional, I think going back to previous year question is something that significantly helped. I have written around 5 years or 10 years of questions, and past 5 years I think I've written twice.
5 years you have written twice.
Yes, sir.
Why twice?
Sir, because the first time I was not satisfied with my answers.
So then you studied it again and you wrote it again.
Yes, sir. I used to read my answers.
That's a lot of questions.
Yes, sir, that was a lot of questions. And secondly, a lot of diagrams and flowcharts.
You prepared in advance.
Yes, sir. So that is something that helped me save time while writing my answers and gave a lot of content without writing much in the paper.
You were part of the Next IAS interview program as well. How was your experience with the interview program?
Sir, with Next IAS, I took the faculty as well as the panel mock. So because panel mock we take at a lot of places, I think faculty mock was something which was very different. And I really liked it because the DAF coverage was.
I think we covered every keyword in the DAF.
Yes, sir, every keyword, and there were areas that I had not prepared even till then. So that was covered with the faculty mock. So that was a good
You had also
experience.
taken the one-to-one.
Yes, sir. I was also a part of 𝐏𝐫𝐢𝐲𝐚𝐵𝐠 program, and then one-to-one was there.
Right. Okay. So now what is the plan? You are relieved of 4 or 5 years of preparation. Now what is the plan?
So plan is to enjoy the moment.
Right.
And have
Has it sunk in already? Or
no,
it's
sir.
Still,
it's still taking time. It's still taking time.
Right. Anyway, it has been a great conversation.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
And all the best for all future endeavors.
Thank you, sir.